Hello everybody, I'm Abasood and welcome to my course on NIST Risk Management Framework. And today we are going to discuss about the third step of implementation of risk management framework, that is select. And let's start with why we are using the select step and what are the tasks we need to perform this in this step. So the purpose of select step is to select, tailor, and document the controls necessary to protect the information, system, and organization with the risk to organization operations and assert individual and other organization and nation. So now let's discuss about the task. There are six tasks that we need to perform in the part of this particular step, that is select. So let's start with the first task, that is control selection. So in the control selection, we select the control for the system and the environment of operation. There are two approaches that can be used for initial selection of controls. One is baseline control approach and other is organization generated control selection approach. So most companies are using the baseline control selection approach. So let's look into it. What is baseline control selection approach? Which is uses control baseline, which is predefined set of control specially assembled to address the protection and need of group, organization, community of interest. Uh, Control baseline serve as a starting point for the protection of individual privacy, information, and information system. Federal control baseline are provided in NIST SP 853. The system security categorization and the system requirement derived from the stakeholder prevention need, law, executive order, regulation, policy, and directives. Instruction standards can help inform the selection of security baseline, uh, security control baselines. Now the second approach is organization generated controls. So this selection approach differ from the baseline selection approach because the organization does not start with a predefined set of controls. Like in case of the baseline selection approach, we can take the reference of NIST 853, but here we are not taking the reference of anything. We are rather the organization uses its own selection process to select controls. This may be necessary when the organization is highly specialized, such as weapon systems or a medical device, or has a limited purpose or scope. In this situation, it may be more efficient and cost effective for an organization to select a specific set of control for the system. So this is what we are doing in our first task for select, that is control selection. So now once we select the controls on the basis of the approach which we have selected, now then we go for the control tailoring. So in the control tailoring, we tailor the control selected for the system and environment of a operation. After selecting the applicable control baseline, organization tailor the control based on various factors that can be its business functions, threats, security and privacy risk. Security and privacy risk also include the supply chain risk, type of system, or risk tolerance. The tailoring process includes identifying and designing the common controls in the control baseline, applying scoping consideration to the remaining baseline controls, selecting compensating controls if needed, assigning value to the organization defined control parameters using either assignment or selection statement, supplementing baseline with additional controls, and providing specific information for control implementations. Organization determine the amount of detail to include in a justification or supporting a rationale requires to tailoring decision. For example, the justification or supporting ration for scoping decision related to an high impact system and high value asset may necessary as a greater speciality than the lower impact system. So this is what we are doing as a tailoring. Now a third task is control allocation. Allocate security and privacy control to the system and to the environment of operation. The organization This designates control as system specific, hybrid, or common control, and allocate the controls to the system elements. System elements such as machine, physical, and human elements, and responsible for providing a security and privacy capabilities. Controls are allocated to the system or organization consistent with the organization's enterprise culture and security or privacy architecture, and the allocated security and privacy requirement. Not all the control that need to be allocated to every system element. Control provides a specific security and privacy capability are only allocated to the system elements that require that capability. The security categorization, privacy risk assessment, risk and privacy, uh, the security and privacy architecture, and allocation of control work together to help to achieve the suitable balance between the security and privacy protection and mission based function of the system. Now next task is control implementation, planning, and documentation. Now we have selected the control, we have tailored the control, we have allocated the control to the system, and now we are going to implement the control planning documentation. Now we are planning to implement the control. Document the control of the system and environment of operating in security and privacy plan. Security and privacy plan contains an overview of the security and privacy requirement for the control and the control selected to satisfy the requirement. The plan describes the intended application of each selected control in the context of the system with a sufficient level of detail to correctly implement the control and to subsequently assess the effectiveness of the control. The control documentation describes how system specific and hybrid controls are implemented and plan and exception regarding the functionality of the system. Those controls implemented in the hardware, software, firmware component of the system. Common controls are also identified in the plan. So now we have identified, we have documented the control as well. Now the next is continuous monitoring strategy. So develop and implement a system level strategy for monitoring the control effectiveness that is consistent with and supplement the organization continuous monitoring strategy. An important aspect of risk management is an ongoing monitoring of control implementation within or inherited by the information system. An effective continuous monitoring strategy at the system level is developed and implemented in coordination with the organization continuous monitoring strategy earlier in SDLC, that is software development life cycle. The system level continuous monitoring strategy is consistent with and supplement to the continuous monitoring strategy of an organization. The system level strategy addressing monitoring those controls for which monitoring is not provided as a part of continuous monitoring strategy and implementation for the organization. The system level strategy identifies the frequency of the monitoring of the control not addressed by the organization level strategy and define the approach to be used for accessing those controls. The system level continuous monitoring strategy consistent with the organization monitoring strategy defines how changes to the system and environment of operations are to be monitored, how risk assessment are to be conducted, and the security and privacy procedure reporting requirement, including recipients of a report. So now look into our sixth step, that is the last step, that is plan and plan review and approval. So if you look into it in the initial steps, we have selected the control, we have tailored the control as per our requirement, we have assigned the allocate the control to our system, we have implemented the control and defined the implementation document, we have prepared the continuous monitoring strategy so that controls can be continuously monitored and it should be aligned with the organization level continuous monitoring strategy. And now our last phase is plan review and approval. Review and approve the security and privacy plan for the system and the environment of operation. The security and privacy plan review by authorizing official or design representative with support from the senior accountable official for risk management or risk execution risk executives, chief information officers, senior agency information security officers, senior agency officers for privacy. Determine if the plan are complete, consistent, and satisfy the stated security and privacy requirement for the system. Based on the results from the review, the authorizing official or designated representative may recommend changes to the security and privacy plan. If the plan are unacceptable and the system owner and common control provider make appropriate changes to the plan. If the plan are acceptable, the authorized official and designated representative approves the plan. So this is what we are having as 6 stars for our select field. So thank you so much for joining.